In a future not so far from now, humanity stands at the cusp of greatness. Years of technological advancements have pushed us into the stars, colonizing planets, and spreading far beyond the borders of Earth. We've come a long way from the days of our ancestors, learning from our past, and using our ingenuity to survive in a universe filled with potential threats. Yet, despite our advancements, humanity remains small in the grand scheme of the cosmos. We're not the fastest, not the strongest, and certainly not the most technologically advanced, but there's something about humans that sets us apart, our ability to adapt and persevere. This becomes painfully clear when the first reports arrive of an alien armada moving steadily toward Earth. They're called the Haru, an ancient, technologically superior race whose presence strikes fear into the hearts of every civilization they encounter. For millennia, they've expanded their empire by conquering and assimilating lesser species. Their warships are an ominous sight, sleek and deadly, outnumbering any fleet that dares to challenge them. And now, their eyes are set on humanity. The initial contact is brief and brutal. Haru warships slice through the outer defenses of human space colonies, obliterating any resistance with ease. News spreads quickly. Earth's leadership scrambles, trying to find a way to hold off the invasion. The Haru don't negotiate, they conquer. Entire human colonies are wiped out within hours, leaving nothing but debris in their wake. The human fleet, though equipped with some of the best technology available, simply can't match the sheer numbers or firepower of the Haru. The reality of the situation sinks in quickly. Humanity is vastly outnumbered, and the Haru are on the brink of wiping out human civilization. This is no ordinary war. This is a fight for survival. The Haru's warships number in the tens of thousands, each one a deadly weapon capable of destroying entire cities in seconds. In comparison, humanity's fleet is a ragtag collection of ships that, while advanced by human standards, are no match for the alien onslaught. As Earth's leaders debate strategy, a plan begins to take shape. It's unconventional, risky, and downright reckless. But it may be the only chance humanity has. The decision is made to send in a single individual, one human, with the goal of infiltrating the Haru fleet and striking a critical blow to their command structure. This isn't just any soldier, though. This is someone who has faced impossible odds before, someone who has the courage and intelligence to pull off a mission of this magnitude. Enter our protagonist, a battle-hardened strategist who has spent years in the human military. They aren't the type to be swayed by fear. Calm under pressure, this individual has proven time and time again that they can think on their feet, adapt to changing circumstances, and find solutions where others see only dead ends. The mission? Simple in concept but nearly impossible in execution. Find a way to disrupt the Haru fleet from within, using whatever resources are available. It's a suicide mission in all but name. One human against 10,000 warships seems laughable, even to the protagonist. But they accept the challenge, knowing full well that failure isn't an option. The odds are stacked against them in every conceivable way, but if there's one thing humanity has learned over the centuries, it's how to survive when all hope seems lost. Armed with nothing more than a small spacecraft and a mind sharp enough to outthink the best alien strategists, the protagonist sets off into the unknown. The Haru, confident in their overwhelming power, don't even register the human ship as a threat. It's a mere speck against the backdrop of their massive fleet, a grain of sand in a desert of alien warships. But that's exactly what the protagonist is counting on. They slip through the Haru defenses unnoticed, a ghost in the night, moving deeper and deeper into the heart of the alien armada. Every step of the way, the protagonist relies on their wits and experience. Human technology may not be as advanced, but it's versatile, designed to adapt and improvise in ways the Haru have never encountered. While the aliens rely on brute force and overwhelming numbers, the protagonist uses cunning and stealth. The Haru, so sure of their dominance, don't realize they're being outmaneuvered by a single individual. The first victory is small but significant. A minor disruption in the Haru fleet's communication system, caused by the protagonist hacking into their network. It goes unnoticed by most of the fleet, but for the protagonist, it's a step forward. With each passing moment, the Haru fleet becomes a little less coordinated, their movements a little more chaotic. It's not enough to turn the tide of the war, but it's a start. The protagonist knows this is just the beginning. There are still thousands of warships to contend with, and they are alone, deep in enemy territory. But that's where humanity thrives, on the edge of disaster, with nothing but the will to survive. And in the grand expanse of space, one human, no matter how outnumbered, can still make all the difference. The initial small victories begin to add up, but the protagonist knows that this war is far from over. The Haru, even in their arrogance, are formidable. Their sheer numbers and the sophistication of their technology make every move treacherous. But the protagonist is no stranger to being the underdog. Humans, after all, have a long history of turning weaknesses into strengths, and that's precisely what the protagonist intends to do. It starts with understanding how the Haru think. Their strategy revolves around overwhelming force. They rely on the fact that they've never encountered an opponent capable of outwitting them. Their tactics are predictable, large-scale assaults with overwhelming firepower, confident that no species could withstand their power. This overconfidence, however, is their Achilles heel. The protagonist knows that while they may be outnumbered, they are not outsmarted. The next move is to take advantage of this arrogance. The Haru fleet moves as a single, massive entity, with ships tightly coordinated and communication at the heart of their operations. The protagonist's objective becomes clear: break this communication chain. Without it, the Haru warships become less efficient, unable to operate as the cohesive, terrifying force they have always been. The human may not have the firepower to take down these ships head-on, but cutting their communication system would make them vulnerable, and that's the angle to exploit. Using the Haru's own technological superiority against them, the protagonist taps into their network. The process is risky, but with calculated precision, small breaches are made in the Haru's systems. The protagonist doesn't aim to destroy the network outright. That would draw too much attention. Instead, the goal is to create confusion, slow down their response times, and make them second-guess their decisions. Every second the Haru spend trying to figure out what's happening is a second the protagonist can use to their advantage. The beauty of this approach lies in its subtlety. The Haru, used to straightforward battles of brute strength, are caught off guard by this new form of warfare. They start making mistakes. Small at first, but noticeable. A fleet as large as theirs can't afford inefficiency, and even a minor error can spiral into larger problems. Ships arrive at destinations a few seconds late, or commands don't go through as intended. It's not enough to stop the invasion, but it's enough to slow them down, to buy humanity time. But the protagonist is aware that time is limited. The Haru will eventually figure out that they are being sabotaged, and when they do, the consequences will be dire. Yet, this pressure only sharpens the protagonist's resolve. There is no margin for error here, and every move must count. As the Haru fleet begins to falter in small ways, the protagonist escalates their tactics. Now, it's time to get creative. Using debris fields and asteroids as cover, the protagonist turns space itself into a battlefield. The vast emptiness between stars becomes an ally, with the protagonist luring the Haru's ships into areas where their size and numbers work against them. A massive fleet can be a disadvantage in tight, unpredictable environments, and the Haru's reliance on order and coordination makes them vulnerable when that order is disrupted. The protagonist plays on this, setting traps and baiting the Haru into making mistakes that no battle-hardened human fleet would fall for. It's a psychological game as much as a tactical one. The Haru, who have never faced a foe quite like this, begin to show signs of confusion. Their commanders are brilliant tacticians in conventional warfare, but this kind of guerrilla space combat is outside their experience. They can't comprehend how one human, one tiny ship, is causing such disruption. And that's exactly what the protagonist wants them to think. The protagonist's experience and intelligence are key. Every maneuver, every tactic is carefully calculated, using not just advanced technology, but the raw instincts and adaptability that have been humanity's strengths for centuries. The Haru, by contrast, rely too much on their technology and numbers, forgetting that wars aren't won by machines alone, but by the minds behind them. The protagonist's ability to adapt on the fly, to think several steps ahead, is what gives them the edge. But it's not without its toll. The loneliness of being so vastly outnumbered weighs heavily on the protagonist. They are alone in this fight, with no backup, no reinforcements, and no margin for error. Every decision carries the weight of survival, and the constant threat of being overwhelmed never goes away. It's a battle not just against the Haru, but against exhaustion, fear, and doubt. Yet, despite the odds, the protagonist presses on, fueled by the knowledge that failure isn't an option. Each small victory bolsters the protagonist's confidence, but there's still a long way to go. The Haru, despite their growing frustration, remain a massive threat. Their warships, while less coordinated than before, are still powerful enough to decimate entire planets. The protagonist knows that the next phase of the plan will require even greater risks, and that one misstep could mean the end of everything. But that's what humanity does best: survive when survival seems impossible. As the protagonist continues to undermine the Haru, the alien commanders begin to take notice. They don't understand what's happening, but they know something is wrong. Their warships, once unstoppable, are faltering. The chain of command starts to break down, and the Haru fleet begins to show cracks in its once impenetrable armor. But the aliens, ever prideful, refuse to believe that one human could be responsible for their setbacks. They chalk it up to bad luck, to unforeseen circumstances, anything but the truth. And that's the Haru's greatest weakness. They refuse to acknowledge that they're being outsmarted, that their superior technology and overwhelming numbers can't compensate for the ingenuity of a single human. Their refusal to adapt, their rigid adherence to a strategy that has worked for millennia, becomes their downfall. The protagonist, on the other hand, adapts with every new challenge, every new obstacle, turning the battlefield into a chessboard where they control every move. With the Haru fleet in disarray, the protagonist sees an opportunity. It's not enough to simply disrupt their operations. If humanity is to survive, the Haru must be dealt a significant blow, something that will cripple their invasion and give Earth a fighting chance. But such a move comes with immense risk, and the protagonist knows that failure is the human fleet. This victory is bittersweet. Many lives have been lost, and countless ships have been destroyed. The cost of defending Earth has been staggering, but the Haru have been not an option. The stakes have never been higher, but neither has the resolve. This is humanity's last stand, and the protagonist is prepared to see it through to the end, no matter the cost. As the Haru fleet begins to experience more severe disruptions, the protagonist realizes that the time for small victories is over. The window of opportunity is closing rapidly. While the subtle sabotage has slowed the alien advance, it hasn't stopped it, and the full might of the Haru war machine is still bearing down on Earth. The clock is ticking. It's time to initiate the final phase, an all-out assault that would leave the Haru no chance of recovery. But to do that, the protagonists must take the ultimate risk, a direct confrontation with the core of their fleet. The Haru's command structure, deeply reliant on a central hub, is its greatest strength but also its greatest vulnerability. While each of their ships is capable of independent action, they're most efficient when operating under the command of their flagship. This massive vessel not only coordinates the actions of thousands of other warships but also serves as the heart of their fleet's decision-making process. The protagonist knows that taking out the flagship won't just cause confusion, it will send the entire armada into chaos. The challenge, however, is monumental. The flagship is heavily guarded, surrounded by layers of smaller warships and impenetrable defenses. Even getting close to it would be a death sentence for any standard pilot. But the protagonist isn't relying on brute force. Their plan involves taking the enemy by surprise, exploiting the weaknesses they've observed during the course of the battle. Every action up to this point has been leading to this moment, and now it's time to execute. Moving through the chaos caused by the earlier sabotage, the protagonist maneuvers closer to the heart of the Haru fleet. The disruption in communications has left many of the outer defenses slow to respond, but the flagship's protective ring is still fully operational. Here, the Haru are at their most alert, expecting an attack but not from a single human. The protagonist, well aware of the dangers, proceeds with a level of precision and confidence honed through years of experience. This is where the true test begins. The protagonist's craft weaves through intense fire, barely avoiding direct hits from the enemy warships. Each maneuver is executed with razor-sharp focus, relying on instincts as much as on technology. The Haru's ships, while powerful, are too rigid in their approach, falling into predictable patterns. The protagonist exploits these patterns, using the Haru's own confidence against them. As the protagonist closes in on the flagship, the tension reaches its peak. This is the culmination of every gamble, every risk taken along the way. The Haru's defenses are formidable, and one wrong move will end the mission instantly. But there's no hesitation. Every action is calculated, every decision deliberate. The protagonist's understanding of human nature, our adaptability, our relentless pursuit of survival, comes into play, pushing them beyond what the Haru can comprehend. At the heart of the Haru fleet, the protagonist faces the final challenge, the flagship itself. It's a massive vessel, a fortress in space, built to withstand any assault. Taking it down will require more than just firepower. It will require intelligence, strategy, and an understanding of the enemy's weaknesses. The Haru's reliance on centralized command makes them vulnerable in ways they haven't accounted for, and the protagonist intends to exploit this to its fullest. Using the environment around them, the protagonist sets up the final strike. This isn't a battle of strength, it's a battle of wit. The protagonist knows that a head-on attack is suicide, so they rely on the element of surprise, outmaneuvering the Haru defenses and positioning themselves for a decisive blow. The strategy is simple but deadly: disrupt the core systems of the flagship and leave it defenseless. It's a move that requires precision, timing, and nerves of steel. The final moments of the battle are a blur of rapid-fire decisions and split-second actions. The protagonist's ship dances around the flagship's defenses, finding gaps where none should exist, pushing the limits of what human technology is capable of. Every movement is a calculated risk, but each one brings the protagonist closer to their goal. And then, with one final, perfectly timed strike, the protagonist hits the flagship's critical systems. For a moment, everything seems to freeze. The flagship, once an unstoppable force, begins to falter. Systems shut down, lights flicker, and the coordinated movements of the Haru fleet grind to a halt. The chain of command is broken. The alien warships, so dependent on centralized control, are left vulnerable, unable to respond effectively without the guidance of their flagship. It's a stunning moment of victory, but it's not without cost. The protagonist's ship has taken heavy damage in the process, barely holding together as they pull away from the crippled flagship. Every system is failing, alarms blaring, but the mission has been accomplished. The Haru fleet, now in disarray, begins to fall apart, their warships turning on each other in confusion and panic. Without their central command, the Haru are powerless to maintain their once invincible formation. The protagonist knows that this is the moment humanity has been waiting for. The Haru, once confident in their overwhelming superiority, are now in complete disarray. The human fleet, scattered but not defeated, seizes the opportunity. Earth's defenders launch a counterattack, pushing the Haru back, capitalizing on the chaos caused by the destruction of the flagship. It's a turning point in the war, and it all hinges on the actions of one human. But victory doesn't come without a price. The protagonist, having fulfilled their mission, is left stranded in the wreckage of their ship. Communications are down, life support is failing, and the prospect of making it out alive seems slim. Yet, even in the face of certain death, the protagonist remains calm, knowing that they've done what no one thought possible. They've taken down the heart of the Haru fleet, and in doing so, they've given humanity a fighting chance. As the human fleet presses its advantage, the protagonist reflects on the journey that brought them here. It wasn't just about technology or tactics. It was about the will to survive, the refusal to give up even in the face of impossible odds. Humanity, despite its flaws, has always been capable of greatness when pushed to the brink. And this victory, hard-fought and costly as it is, proves that humans are more than capable of standing toe-to-toe with the most powerful forces in the universe. The war is far from over, but this moment, this victory, will go down in history as the turning point. The Haru have been dealt a crippling blow, and for the first time, they know fear. For the first time, they see humanity not as a weak, insignificant species, but as a force to be reckoned with. And it all started with one human, one impossible mission, and the indomitable spirit that defines us as a species. The battle is won, but the fight for survival continues. The aftermath of the battle is one of both triumph and devastation. The Haru fleet, once an unstoppable force, is now in disarray, their warships scattered, their command structure shattered. Earth has been spared for now. But as the smoke clears, it becomes clear that this victory came at a tremendous cost. The battlefield is littered with the remains of human and Haru ships alike, a grim reminder of the price of survival. The protagonist, though alive, is stranded in the wreckage of their craft, barely clinging to life as they await rescue. For dealt a blow they did not expect. For the first time in their history, the Haru have faced defeat, not at the hands of a superior force, but by a species they deemed insignificant. This moment marks a turning point, not just in the war, but in humanity's place in the galaxy. The message is clear: humanity is not to be underestimated. As the news of the victory spreads across Earth and the colonies, there is a collective sense of relief, tempered by the heavy toll the war has taken. The Haru invasion may have been repelled for now, but the threat is far from over. The aliens may have lost their command ship, but they still possess an armada of warships, and their empire is vast. The human fleet, while victorious, is weakened, and it will take time to rebuild. But in this moment, humanity has gained something far more valuable than a simple military victory. They have gained respect, not just from the Haru, but from every species watching from the sidelines. The protagonist, now hailed as a hero, becomes the symbol of human resilience. Their actions, though born out of necessity, have shown the galaxy that humans, despite their smaller numbers and less advanced technology, are capable of extraordinary feats. The story of one human standing against 10,000 alien warships becomes a legend, passed down through generations. It's a tale of defiance, of courage, and of the unyielding human spirit that refuses to be crushed, no matter the odds. Yet, the weight of this victory is not lost on the protagonist. They understand that this is not the end of the war, but merely the beginning of a new chapter. The Haru will return, likely stronger and more determined than before. But this time, humanity will be ready. The lessons learned in this battle will shape the future of human military strategy. No longer can humans afford to be complacent, or rely solely on their ingenuity. The war with the Haru has shown that survival in this galaxy requires more than just intelligence. It requires constant adaptation, preparation, and the will to evolve. As the human fleet regroups and begins the process of rebuilding, Earth's leadership faces a new challenge: how to prepare for the inevitable retaliation. The Haru's defeat, though a crippling blow, is not enough to stop their empire from seeking revenge. But the dynamics of the galaxy have changed. Humanity, once seen as vulnerable, is now a player on the intergalactic stage. The Haru's defeat has not only emboldened Earth's forces but has also caught the attention of other alien civilizations, some of whom had previously written off humanity as inconsequential. This newfound respect, however, comes with its own dangers. Some species may seek alliances with humanity, while others may see Earth's growing power as a threat. The protagonist, now a key figure in the defense of Earth, knows that the real battle isn't just against the Haru. It's about securing humanity's future in a galaxy filled with potential enemies. The victory over the Haru has bought Earth time, but that time must be used wisely. In the months following the battle, Earth undergoes a transformation. The military begins to expand, not just to defend against future Haru attacks, but to ensure that humanity is never caught off guard again. New technologies are developed, inspired by the tactics used in the battle, and humanity's understanding of alien warfare deepens. The protagonist plays a key role in this evolution, sharing their insights and strategies with Earth's military leaders. Their experience in the field has made them a valuable asset, not just as a soldier, but as a strategist. But the emotional toll of the war is not easily shaken. The protagonist, despite their hero status, struggles with the weight of their actions. They know that their mission, while necessary, led to the loss of many lives, both human and alien. The loneliness of being the sole human responsible for such a monumental victory weighs heavily on them. They find themselves questioning what it means to be a hero in a war that leaves so much destruction in its wake. Yet, despite these doubts, they remain committed to the cause, knowing that the survival of their species depends on it. The legacy of this battle extends beyond the protagonist and the human fleet. The Haru, once the galaxy's most feared conquerors, are now a weakened empire. Their defeat at the hands of humanity sends ripples through their ranks, leading to internal strife and power struggles. The loss of their command ship has crippled their ability to wage large-scale war, and for the first time, the Haru must contend with the possibility of their own decline. Other alien civilizations, long oppressed by the Haru, begin to rise up, inspired by humanity's victory. The balance of power in the galaxy is shifting, and humanity is at the center of it. For Earth, the road ahead is uncertain, but filled with potential. The Haru may return, but they will not find the same vulnerable species they once sought to conquer. Humanity has proven that they are more than capable of defending themselves, and that they will fight for their place in the galaxy. The protagonist, now a symbol of this defiance, continues to prepare for the challenges to come, knowing that the war is far from over. In the end, this victory is more than just a battle won, it is a statement. A declaration that humanity, despite its flaws and limitations, is a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy may be vast, and the threats may be many, but as long as humans continue to fight, adapt, and persevere, they will survive. And in doing so, they will carve out their own place among the stars, not as victims of a hostile universe, but as champions of their own destiny. The protagonist, scarred but unbroken, stands as a reminder of this truth. They have faced the impossible and emerged victorious. And as long as there are humans willing to stand up against the odds, there will always be hope for a future where humanity not only survives but thrives.